A few facts about TiECon, as we all know. The TiE is the largest not-for-profit global organization focused on promoting entrepreneurship. TiE helps budding entrepreneurs by way of advice, guidance, and assistance to successful and experienced professionals and entrepreneurs from different industries. And here we have successfully completed 2-3 years, and now we are doing our beautiful year. And it's time for us to begin with the inaugural ceremony, and I'd like to invite our delegates onto the dais. Firstly, let me welcome on dais P.H. Kurian, the IAS Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and IT Government of Kerala. P.H. Kurian is currently the Principal Secretary, Department of Information Technology, Government of Kerala. After completing post-graduation in chemistry from CMS College, Kottayam, Mr. Kurian joined the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore for PhD in Organic Chemistry Department. While pursuing the PhD program, Mr. Kurian cleared civil service examination and joined the Indian Administrative Service in the year 1986 and was allotted to the Orissa cadre of IAS. Mr. Kurian also served as the Labour Commissioner and Project Director of District Primary Education Program. He also served as the Managing Director of Kerala Financial Corporation for a year. In 2002, he became the Director of Industries and Commerce in 2002. From 2003 to 2008, he served as Secretary of Industries. Welcoming you to the dais, sir. Next, I'd like to welcome on stage Mr. Ashok Rao, the Chairman, TiE Global, and Chairman and CEO of Houdini Incorporations. Mr. Ashok Rao, the serial entrepreneur with 4 successful high-technology startups, took one of them public with a market cap in excess of $400 million. Currently on his 5th startup as Chairman and CEO of Houdini Incorporations, developing cutting-edge software for enterprise, utilizing artificial intelligence and computer linguistics. He is the Chairman of the TiE, utilizing artificial intelligence and computer linguistics. He is the Chairman of the TiE Global Board of Trustees. TiE is the world's largest organization of entrepreneurs with over 15,000 members in 5 continents. Welcoming you onto the dais, sir. I'd also like to welcome our other dignitaries onto the dais. Mr. A.V. George, welcoming you, sir. Mr. S.R. Nair. Mr. M.S.A. Kumar. Good morning to each one of you and wishing you a great day ahead. And it's now time for the lamp lighting, which is the most auspicious moment for this moment. So I'd like to welcome on stage, P.H. Kurian and Mr. Ashok Rao. Kindly come forward along with the other delegates on the dais. Thank you so much. As we just viewed the success of TiECon, I'm sure TiECon 2014 is all set to break its own records and go bigger than imagination. Saying this, let me take the privilege to invite our dignitary for this inaugural ceremony, Mr. M.S.A. Kumar, the Vice President of TiE Kerala and Managing Director of AVT Naturals Product Limited. Mr. M.S.A. Kumar is currently the Vice President of TiE Kerala and who is a graduate in agriculture with an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He has served as a top management executive in several premier organizations like Sandoz India Limited, Bayer India Limited, and Shawwell Wallace Co. Limited. His field of expertise includes sales and marketing, product management, etc., and he is with the company since 1995. He is the director of AVT McCormick Ingredients Private Limited and also the director of AVD Gavia Foods Private Limited. So I'd like to welcome M.S.A. Kumar for our welcome address.
Thank you, Pujita, for such a good introduction and a good start for TiECon Kerala 2014. I am delighted to be here and deliver the welcome address. So before I start talking a little more on the entrepreneurship and the AVs you went through, first let me welcome the dignitaries in the dais. I have the privilege of first welcoming Mr. P.H. Kurian, IAS, Principal Secretary, Industries and IT, Government of Kerala. I think P.H. Kurian is known as no-nonsense, I won't call him a bureaucrat, but a person who really means business. And like today, Government of India is talking about ease of doing business. We have been talking to PH about it, and he is making many changes which will make doing business in Kerala far more easier. And PH is known for his no-nonsense when he was the Director General of Patent Controller in Mumbai. In fact, he struck down one patent of my ex-company, Bayer. I think it was a cancer drug, as per the law. Okay, so PH is known, as you see here. So a warm welcome to you, sir. Thank you for coming and gracing this occasion and inaugurating this. We have none other than Ashok Rao, who is a very familiar face because he has been, and he is now the TIE Global Chairman, and he will be giving up his office after 4 years, Ashok, in this December. And he, along with His Holiness Johnny K. Paul, he put the name, I think, to our past president, started this TICON in 2012. And I can see here a large attendance, and this has traveled the distance, as you see, from the AV. A big welcome, Ashok, and thank you for your continued support to TIE Kerala and the Kerala business community. Welcome, Ashok. I have another TIE veteran, PK Agarwal, who is not in the dais. So PK, if you can stand up, I would like to welcome you. He is the CEO of TIE Global. PK again has been a source of strength for TIE Kerala, and I would take this privilege of welcoming. So give a big, put your hands together, gentlemen, and big warm welcome. I would not welcome because I saw our president, G-Mon, we call him G-Mon, somebody call him AV George. Whatever is the name, so long as we don't call him names, is fine, because he has been quite active. I think his wife, Valsa, is here. So Valsa, don't worry. On Sunday morning, we'll hand over your husband back to you, because he has been very busy with TICON. A warm welcome. He is part of our family. So, but still, I think you can, since you're the bouquet of flowers, please give one to our president, Jimon. SR Nair, of course, doesn't need any introduction, and still you should get a bouquet of flowers. No, you have to accept it, SR. He is the second president of TIE Kerala. I mean, TIE, when it was founded in 2003, I think he was the second president of TIE Kerala. A warm welcome, SR, and a very successful entrepreneur in the Kerala ecosystem. Well, a few words before I hand over the mic to the compere. What Rajesh Nair of Ernst & Young, he will talk about it later. I won't get into your territory, Rajesh. The kind of programs what you have for the next 2 days is focused on one thing called My Story, where there are successful entrepreneurs, there are serial entrepreneurs like Ashok Rao, who has tasted success, but I'm sure he has tasted failures too in his life. So basically, let me take myself back. I mean, when I passed out from my agriculture in 1972, I joined a private sector company as a salesman. So I remember my father telling, I mean, these were the good old days. I mean, 1972 means it's almost 42 years back. What I'm trying to make here is kind of an ecosystem which existed that time. So my father told, look, he was a deputy superintendent of police in Central Reserve Police. He says, hey, why are you joining private sector? I mean, don't you think security of job is important? You know, that was the kind of ecosystem or the support system we had. But today, I have a son and daughter. My son works, but my daughter has started up this entrepreneurial journey. And I never told, look, you should take up, leave alone a government service. I didn't tell her, okay, you don't start this. So the whole thing, there are three differences in this in terms of the current ecosystem in our country and as well in Kerala, is today's parents are not dependent on their children for any kind of monetary support. I think I'm sure you will agree with that. Second thing, the kind of opportunities what exist is phenomenal. I was very, very surprised. During my salesman days, I used to go and eat in a place called Dindigul in Tamil Nadu. I don't know how many of you have been to that place. There is a biryani shop called Talappa Ketti Biryani. Okay? That guy, I read in Economic Times day before yesterday, he has now 60 restaurants, and he has tied up with a startup company where each table has got a wireless transmitter, and each waiter is given a, I'm not a technically literate guy, a watch where the orders can be taken. So my point I'm making is the opportunities are immense. So that's the second reason. The third reason is the risk-taking abilities of people. These youngsters are far more than my generation, but my generation also has people who have taken risks. Because our past president, Johnny Paul, used to tell me, look, Kumar, buy some Dairyam from Coimbatore. He told me once when I was telling, he has been asking me to start some kind of business, which I will do very soon. Anyway, having told this, one thing which is very clear is the kind of response we are getting. And I would like to compliment PH Kurian, the Department of Industries. I was recently in Startup Village. I'm sure PH will give more details. Phenomenal success. I mean, in the sense, I went there. I don't know, Startup Village people are here. I don't know, Pranav is here, who is the current CEO. Basically, they started with 5,000 square feet, Mr. PH Kurian, the first building. And now they have got 10,000 square feet. And now they are putting up 100,000 square feet, correct? The new building which is coming up in Startup Village. Phenomenal success. But the Kerala problem is, I think G. Vijayaraghavan is here. I think we had the first IT park in the country, which was, I think, GVR was the CEO that time. But after that, we lost out. So I'm sure we should maintain this momentum in terms of the Startup Village. 1 lakh square feet coming. You will be surprised. They have got, so far, I was talking to Pranav, 5,200 applications for startups from Kerala. When I walked into their office, one guy from Indore was sitting there. So I asked him, why you are here? I mean, it was strange. Young engineer. He says, sir, I came here to learn from Startup Village, and I'm going to talk to the government of Madhya Pradesh and start something similar in MP. Already, Chandrababu Naidu has signed off in terms of repeating the success of Kerala. So the TIE's mandate is to continue that, and we will definitely cooperate with the state government of Kerala to see that this doesn't, lose steam as we go along. Phenomenal. And Pranav told me one thing, Kumar, one of the applicants in this 5,200 was a 62-year-old man who wanted to start a cattle farm. A cattle farm in a startup village. Okay? So I asked Pranav, what did you do with that? He says, look, Kumar, I have not done anything, but I have been talking to Milma about it. So the point I'm trying to make is, it's so much of energy, so much of passion in what people are doing. There's one startup who has got gaming for children with autism. And he talked to me about social entrepreneurship. The whole thing is around the place. The basic difference, I will close now, is unlike many years back, today the fear of failure, I'm not saying it's not there among youngsters, but it's receding. It's not a question of, it's slowly fading away, and it's not seen as a bad, intolerant word, the failure, in today's ecosystem, and it's no longer a taboo to fail, because earlier days, the failure was seen as a big taboo. I was reading recently, there are 600 new ventures starting in India, half die within 12 months, another 30% die within the crucial 12 to 18 months, the remaining 20% successful. This is quoted from Microsoft Accelerator booklet. So over the next 2 days, as I told you, we will hear my stories in the various stages of forming, storming, norming, and performing in the case of a startup enterprise. So we will go through all the phases, and you will hear the failures as well. As I define fail, I am a lover of acronyms. FAIL means first attempt in learning. So I am sure many of the speakers will say that, look, success is not a straight line. If it's a straight line, like the ECG, if it's a straight line, the person is dead. Success is never a straight line. So with these words, I thank all of you for having come here and participated in TiECon 2014. Benefit from it. Ask the speakers, tell me failures, so that failure also is taken as a sign of not repeating the same mistake and learning from one's past mistake. The fear should remove. When I say fear, again, 2 acronyms. Forget everything and run. forget everything and run, and forget everything and rise. With these words, thanks to all the delegates who have taken your time off, and I'm sure next 2 days will be very productive, and look forward to interacting with you both off and on the auditorium. Thank you very much, and have a nice 2 days.
Thank you, sir. Next, for the presidential address, I'd like to invite our President, Thai Kerala Chairman of AVG Group of Companies, Mr. A.V. George. A.V. George Group of Companies has 8 group companies in its fold, 4 of which are listed companies. The AVG Group is a diversified multi-crore business group known for its ethical values and focus on environmentally sustainable business practices. Mr. A.V. George is an expert on tea and rubber plantations and organic biodynamic farming. Sir, I'd request you to do the presidential address. Thank you.
Dear Ashok, PH, MSA, SR, and distinguished audience, and my dear friends. Every developed and developing economy around the world is fueled by pursuits and successes of small and medium-scale entrepreneurs. Countries which have environment conducive for small businesses and encourage entrepreneurship development are able to counter and overcome economic recessions and financial crises. In Kerala, we have traditionally not been forthcoming in the options of self-employment or taking the plunge to start our own businesses. This also stems from the societal philosophy that ridicules entrepreneurial failure. We make life miserable for them. We take pleasure to call them greedy and selfish, as if they did something fundamentally wrong by seeking career avenues in business and not found a government job, a bank job, or a job in a public sector organization. The good students are forced to pick areas in engineering, medicine, banks, etc. Starting a business has been viewed as an option of a poor student who could not come out with flying colors in his school or college. But slowly, this is changing. Kerala is seeing nothing short of another revolution of sorts. The startup village showed the potential of our youth, of how they can be encouraged to do things themselves and create wealth and jobs. In this context, what the TICON has done is to further fuel the environment. In the first TICON in 2012, the word entrepreneurship became an important social transmission topic and word of mouth. TICON helped funnel ideas and triggered an environment where the business ambitions moved from the top of the mind to the tip of the tongue to visible, palpable action. Suddenly, entrepreneurship became what economists call social currency. It became fashionable, interesting, and cool to look at starting businesses. At TIE, we have signed up MOUs with KFC and KSIDC to promote entrepreneurship. We also partnered for the Yes Kerala. Our My Success sessions are great learning for success and failures of people who took the plunge. Our constant message of fostering entrepreneurship becomes integral and valuable through the TICONs, where thousands get together to share and celebrate success and failures. My story as an entrepreneur started with 2 days of Gerau in 1977. And later, the eventual comedy with the workers that has lasted now a lifetime. The youth in my time used to think differently. Today, social media, exponentially efficient connectivity, align their views to global youth. They are restless, keen to take risks, and also rewrite their own careers as often as they deem fit. They are independent in their thinking and do not always have pressure from parents to follow the trodden path. This is increasingly true of parents of this generation. They have the conviction to trust their children to do the right thing and the courage to encourage them to follow their dreams. We also understand that for very successful entrepreneurs, there are hundreds who have failed. They are not always people who know how to balance work, leisure, and family. Entrepreneurship is a passion. Like great works of art, music, and even writing, they are born of enormous sacrifice. Sometimes there are rewards at the end of the tunnel. Very often there are none. True entrepreneurs will pursue their dreams regardless. At the end of the day, TIE is about, as Steve Jobs said, an enhanced user experience for anyone who dares to dream and follow that dream. We began in we began in 2002. Thai Kerala started then by saying Kerala can. And the entrepreneurs of Kerala have proved that time again. We said in 2012 that we dream of having an entrepreneur in every home. And now we promise at Thai, we will help you walk your entrepreneurial dreams. While changing, we will build an exemplary entrepreneurial ecosystem in Kerala. We welcome you to hear, imbibe, dream at Thai Kerala. We promise you that we will do whatever we can to help you walk your dreams. As the French philosopher Albert Camus said, don't follow us. We are not leaders. Don't expect us to follow you. We are not followers. But we will walk with you in this journey. That is a promise we make. May God bless you all in your entrepreneurial journey. Create wealth and happiness for yourself and others. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And next, to do the inaugural address, I'd like to welcome our chairman of Thai Global and chairman of CEO of Houdini Incorporations, Mr. Ashok Rao.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for having me. For the third year in a row, it's great to be back. But you know, this time back was a little different. I walked into the hotel lobby yesterday, looked around, and I thought I was in Gujarat. You know why? It's dry. It's not the Kerala and Cochin that I remember. So a famous quote by Benjamin Franklin came to mind. Ben Franklin, the founder of one of the founding fathers of the United States, the famous quote he has says, in beer there is truth. In wine there is wisdom. In water there's bacteria. So trying to get ready for my trip to Kerala and reading all about the fact that this state has gone dry or going dry, I picked up a very important book called The Evils of Drinking. So I started reading it. It made a huge impact on me. I quit reading. But anyway, I hope your folks, your politicians will come to their senses and fix this brainless idea. But anyway, we're here at a great conference, third year in a row. And what's a conference? Usually when you talk about a conference, if my slide projector would keep working, it's not moving, not advancing the slides. You know, they say when you jump out of an airplane, pack your own parachute. Now you know what happens if you don't pack your own parachute. You crash. So maybe we need to have some storytelling, tell some jokes. Well, no, the slides need to be there. Storytelling. So, you know, this guy, he got shipwrecked on an island. And he was there for years and years and years, and all he lived on was coconuts and coconut water. And he was really going mad with loneliness when one day out on the ocean he sees this bubble and he thinks it's a ship. And he's waving frantically, thinking that somebody's going to come to the rescue, and it comes closer and it's small and he thinks it's maybe a boat. It comes closer and it's still smaller and he thinks maybe it's a little raft. And all of a sudden, out of the water rises this gorgeous blonde in this skin-tight diving suit. She walks up to him and says, "Oh, you poor man, how long have you been here?" And he says, 30 years. She says, "How long has it been, you poor man, since you've had a drink?" And he says, 30 years, all I've had coconut water. So she unzips a zipper on her left arm, pulls out a hip flask of whiskey and hands it to him. And he takes a swig and he says, "Oh, that's great." Then she says, "How long has it been since you've had a cigarette?" And he says, 30 years. She unzips the one on the right arm, pulls out a pack of cigarettes, light a cigarette for him, and he is beside himself. Then her voice drops a couple of octaves. Says, "You know, how long have you played around?" And she starts pulling this zipper down. And he says, "Don't tell me you've got golf clubs in there too." Now, do we have our presentation back and running, or do I have to keep telling jokes? How are we doing, guys? Okay. So, we were back in Kochi, and we're now back at a conference. And what's it define? A conference is a place where important people get together to decide to do something, but together decide that nothing can be done. However, that's not the case with entrepreneurs. They do get things done. But the funny thing about an entrepreneur is that this is a word that nobody knew 30 years ago. How many of you who are old enough remember what entrepreneur was? As usual, we stole it from the French. And as usual, let's have a quick show of hands. How many are entrepreneurs in this audience? Majority are entrepreneurs. How many would like to be entrepreneurs? Aspiring entrepreneurs. Well, you're all in good company. As I said, this is a word we stole from the French. Comes from the French verb entreprendre, which means to undertake, and it's come to mean people who take risk and people who undertake enterprises and then try to make something of it. And that's been the way throughout history. But not everyone can or is an entrepreneur, can be or is an entrepreneur. I contend that you have to have at least the risk gene to be an entrepreneur. And this you don't inherit, so it's not a gene. It's a virus. And it randomly infects people across the globe. And it's about 3 to 4% of the world, I think. So it's gender agnostic. There are just as many women who are inclined to be entrepreneurs as men. It's ethnicity agnostic. It's region agnostic, religion agnostic, color agnostic. So it's a random virus that infects people, and people are entrepreneurially inclined. Think about it, your own friends and family. How many are entrepreneurs, and most of them are not? In my own case, I have 2 brothers. Brilliant. PhD, doctor curing. The other one's a doctor who's curing diabetes. And they're totally risk averse. On the highways in the US, they drive 55 miles an hour. Not 56. 55 is the speed limit. No risk. Me? I have 2 radar detectors in my car, one in the front, one in the back, just in case, so that I can drive 100 miles an hour, take the risk. But this gene can either flourish or can be suppressed by environment and by government. These are the 2 factors that can suppress or let it flourish, and that's why you have perhaps less women entrepreneurs than men, because society has always frowned on women doing things. And I contend that that's the stupidest thing man has done for the last 5,000 years. 51% of the world's population are women, and I would contend 55% of the world's IQ belong to women. Come on, that's supposed to get a laugh from at least the men, guys. And the women should clap. Good case in point about government suppressing entrepreneurial drive is India itself. In 1991, we were a bankrupt country. We were about to default as a nation, and suddenly Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh realized that they had to loosen up the rules. And they did, and they let loose a torrent of entrepreneurs who helped bring us out of where we were. Also, if you think about brand India and our image, 30 years ago, we were a nation of snake charmers and elephants to the rest of the world. Today, India is cool. And what changed the image for India? It was Indian entrepreneurs succeeding abroad, where government did not suppress them like they did here. India is still a tough place to do business, but it's getting better. But the basic fact is that entrepreneurs through the ages are the only people who have pulled the world out of trouble when it's been in trouble. Right after the middle 1800s, when the world was in doldrums, the Industrial Revolution was sparked by entrepreneurs. People like Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, the Wright brothers, Henry Ford, John Rockefeller, even Jamshedji Tata here in India. What they did was they created companies starting small in their garage, in their bicycle shop, and built hugely successful companies driven by their ideas, their passion, and their ability to overcome failure and take risk. These are legends that we've made movies about. Again, after World War II, when the world was in trouble and economic doldrums were all across the globe, it was entrepreneurs that transformed the way of life. People like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and even Dhirubhai Ambani in India. You see, one of the common themes through all of these people is that they started small and have built hugely successful companies that today are giants. We think of them as corporate America or corporate India. But when they started, they were a one-man show or one-woman show. And today we're having the same thing. The 21st century revolution, the Renaissance, again being driven by entrepreneurs who are changing the way we live. People like Sergey Brin of Google, or Jack Dorsey of Twitter, Jeff Bezos of Amazon. These are people who have changed the way we live, have changed the way we entertain ourselves, even have transformed governments, what arguably one could maintain. Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg helped in the Arab Spring. But the common theme is all of these entrepreneurs were innovators. Entrepreneur is always an innovator. An innovator is not always an entrepreneur. Good example, the guy who invented the sticky note. You know the Post-it note, the sticky note? You all use them? Yeah? Yes? No? Yeah. Well, this guy worked for 3M. And for 30 years, he worked for 3M, retired, probably got a gold watch or something as his retirement present. Had he been an entrepreneur, he would have made billions. So an entrepreneur is always an innovator. An innovator may or may not be an entrepreneur. But how does one go about innovating? What's this whole concept of innovating? Time for a story. Ready for a story, guys? You guys are all asleep, I think. You guys all put them to sleep. Or maybe I'm doing it. Time for a story, guys? Okay. So Jesus, you know who Jesus is. This is Kerala, right? And Satan always would be arguing about who was more computer literate, who was more IT literate, who had better knowledge of the internet. And those arguments would get so loud that God got fed up one day and he said, look, guys, I'm going to decide which of the two of you is more computer literate by giving you a test. So I'll equip you with identical workstations, give you 2 hours. At the end, you print me a report, and I'll be the judge. So he sets them both up, and they go at it, and they do all sorts of things, word processing and Excel sheeting and browsing the internet and everything that it takes to be computer literate. And with about 10 minutes to go before the deadline, the power goes out. So they must have been doing this somewhere in Delhi, I guess. The power goes out, and Jesus is sitting very calmly at his station, and Satan is cursing his computer, saying, what's happened? The power's gone out. How are we going to finish? It doesn't bother Jesus. The power comes back on, and Satan goes berserk. He says, I've lost everything. Whereas Jesus' computer printer starts printing his whole report. Satan says to God, Jesus cheated. He used magic powers. How could he be doing this? And God simply replied, Jesus saves. People laugh at the end of a joke, not at the start. And why is this? There's the reason for me telling this. People laugh at the end, not at the start, because there's no context to start to laughing at the start of a joke until you hear the proverbial punchline. Once you've heard the punchline, your mind works itself backwards. For most of you, it took at least 2 seconds to figure it out what that was. Works itself backwards. It makes sense. It triggers the whole concept, and then we laugh. Similarly, innovation is that same kind of an abstract concept, where we really don't know what innovation is till we actually get to the proverbial punchline. We see what we've done. We look backwards. We make sense of it. The ability to see value in hindsight. You know, there's a famous concept, famous quote, I'm sorry, by somebody who said, and I forget who it was. You know what they say when you get older, memory is the second thing that goes. And I forgot what the first was. So they say that innovation is an abstract concept. And the ability to see value in hindsight is what is the crucial skill for an innovator. But what it always is the fuel for entrepreneurship. Without innovation, there is no entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs innovate. It's fundamental as Newton's 3 laws. They create jobs, they energize innovation, they create wealth, and they also are the driver for economic growth. That is what entrepreneurs are. But ideas are not enough. To be a successful entrepreneur, you need money, and this is the classic curve that most companies go through. You start by borrowing money from the 3 Fs. You know what the 3 Fs are? Family, friends, and fools. We'll let you start your company. Then as you go through what I call this valley of death, this little bottom curve that sits there is the valley of death. Not everybody can work its way out. Kumar said it was 20%. I think it's more like 10%. 9 out of 10 companies fail when they start. And that's the reason why entrepreneurs are on a heck of a journey. Let's face it. If 9 out of 10 companies that every entrepreneur starts fail, that is one heck of a journey. And this whole topic, this theme of this conference is the joy of entrepreneurship. And you wonder, you know, if you fail 9 out of 10 times, is that really joy? But it might be, because entrepreneurs have unlimited ideas, limited funds, unlimited work, but not enough time. I've always said, you know, to entrepreneurs, the way you create more time is not by sleeping any less, just sleep faster. You'll create more time for yourself. Unlimited work, but limited time. Unlimited market with limited marketing. Opportunities are unlimited, but resources are not. Huge risks with very little guarantees. You're more broke than you're rich most of the time. And you fail several more times than any average human being does. That's the life of an entrepreneur. And you get less sleep, or you sleep faster. So in other words, you have an emotional roller coaster. That's a cartoon I stole from someplace. One day you're up, next day you're down, you're back up, you're down, and it is an emotional roller coaster where there is joy, there's terror, there's euphoria. But before you entrepreneurs begin to feel sorry for yourself, remember this famous little quote in Pidgin English. You know, Pidgin English, which says, "Who sent you that message?" Can you repeat after me? Who sent you that message? Who sent you that message? Well, what it really means is, did anyone force you into it? And if not, then you shouldn't be complaining because you did it to yourself. So who sent you that message? Who sent you that message when you lose all the money you borrowed on an idea that didn't work out and before you get ready to commit suicide? Remember, who sent you that message? Come on with me, guys. We're trying to wake you all up. This is going to happen a few times, so be ready for the cue. When you're doing your best to please a customer and they don't give a damn and they cancel your service, remember before you get mad. Who sent you that message? Before, when all your mates who are less talented, less smart than you are employed, have nice homes, driving expensive cars, and you're still jumping on the bus or taking the train. Who sent you that message? Again, when you look at your personal balance sheet, you see you've got more debts than you've got money. Before you curl up into a fetal ball, remember, who sent you that message? Again, when your friends are out partying all night and you can't go anywhere because you've got to meet a client's deadline and you're gnashing your teeth, remember, who sent you that message? When everyone is fast asleep and you're working late at night, before you curse your fate, remember, who sent you that message? When you're having a hard time with your employees because they're not meeting targets and you're going nuts, remember, who sent you that message? But the answer is you sent yourself that message. Because without having sent yourself that message, you have nobody else to blame but yourself for all the good and all the bad that'll happen. And the outcome is the one you chose. And nobody else can be blamed. And you chose to carry this burden. You sent yourself that message. And guess what? In that burden lies the joy. That is the joy of entrepreneurship. The joy of freedom that comes from making your personal choice. Because who sent you that message? This is the quest to achieve all that you can achieve and perhaps change the world while you're doing it. Not all the time, but perhaps change the world. As those names we talked about, as the names that you saw in the video, they help change the world. And that burden is the joy of entrepreneurship. Because you're the architect of your own destiny. You create your own dreams and make them come real. You don't settle for what other people are telling you. You're not living your life the way other people dictate. And in that, you become accomplished, you do the best, and you sent yourself that message. That is the whole joy of entrepreneurship. And all the money in the world is really nothing compared to the fact that you see your ideas become reality, you impact lives, the adrenaline rush. How many of you are familiar with the adrenaline rush that emotional roller coaster, the terror that comes when you don't have the success, when you're about to fail, or the risk and the doubt, the euphoria from when you're on the upswing, and the sheer joy that comes from knowing that what you're doing matters in some small way or sometimes in a very big way, and that you might be in your own way helping change the world. And all the world, money in the world is nothing, but it helps if you have some. If you're successful, entrepreneurs are driven by making money along with all those other good things we just talked about. You cannot survive your new journey without money. And it is the icing on the cake. But entrepreneurs also face a joyless conundrum. In all the joy of entrepreneurship, there's a joyless conundrum, which is about dealing with institutions, local institutions, which are controlled by people like Minister Chandy, who's not here, Mr. Kurian, who is here, and they make life difficult. But they matter, because you need them. Without institutions, you cannot build companies. They are the soil and fertilizer in which you plant your business, from which it can grow. And if these institutions are business-friendly, you flourish and thrive. If these institutions are not business-friendly, you wither and die. And what I would contend is that these institutions in India are more prone to making us wither and die than flourish and survive. I see somebody clapping. See, I'm hungry for applause, guys. I have to beg. Or I'm trying to wake you up. But the other conundrum is that once these institutions are formed in the right way, where you have free and open stock markets, we have good intellectual property protection, we have the rule of law, where you have bankruptcy courts that can quickly work their way through such situations, once government has helped set all that up, they've got to get the hell out of the way and allow entrepreneurs to do their thing. And that's where government has a lot of trouble as well. We need them, and yet we don't need them. Institutions matter because when they work well, entrepreneurs are able to succeed. Start businesses, protect intellectual property, create wealth, create jobs. But when they don't work well, they become a trap. They hold back entrepreneurs. They allow multinational corporations from outside to beat the living daylights out of you. And most of the time, entrepreneurs in areas where institutions don't work well go into the parallel economy, otherwise known as the black market. And that is what had happened to India before 1991 and still continues to happen to some extent because they set the rules of the game. But the good news is I think things are changing, have been changing for the last 20 years in India. Hugely successful, and hats off to Indian entrepreneurs. They are succeeding in spite of their government, not because of it. And can you imagine the kind of success we might have if the rules were changed to where entrepreneurs could truly operate with freedom and with support? However, people have gotten the message. If you think about countries, you know, the BRIC countries like Brazil or China or India 20 years ago, they were highly controlled societies, highly controlled economies, very socialistic. And today, they've all woken up to the fact, and each of these countries I mentioned are over $2 trillion in GDP. China's, of course, just gone past $9 trillion. India's at 2, and Brazil's at also about 2. And again, problem you have in all of these restructuring emerging markets is angel investing is tough because wealth distribution is so skewed. And when wealth distribution is so skewed in the hands of so few, private investing becomes very difficult. When you think about the United States, and just give that as a backdrop, there's about $32 billion a year of angel investing. And I'm not talking about venture capital. $32 billion a year of angel investing takes place every year. And this is stuff that's known. There's a lot of angel investing that goes on that's not known. And that is the fuel for entrepreneurship. And once we have less skewed wealth distribution, you will have more angel investing, and you will have less crony capitalism, which then leads to corruption. So in the end, the message to entrepreneurs is the final act of preparing is to stop preparing and just do it. Take the risk, take the plunge, and just do it. Because when you're young, when you're aspiring, you probably have a lot more time on your hands than you have money. So go spend the time. Go take your idea and see if it works. Go borrow money from the 3 Fs. And if it doesn't work, well, you know, try again. And if it doesn't work, you can always go back to being a wage slave. which is not the worst thing in the world because 95% of the world are wage slaves, albeit some of them very well paid wage slaves. But that's always the option. So as long as you've got more time on your hands than money, go spend your time. Go build your business. Go take the risk. And don't be afraid to fail. Pick yourself up and do it again, because herein lies the joy of entrepreneurship. That is the joy of entrepreneurship. And the life of an entrepreneur really is a cycle from terror to euphoria to eventually joy. And that is the joy of entrepreneurship, which is the life of an entrepreneur. So thank you all very much for being here. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, sir. Now to do the felicitation, I'd like to welcome on stage our Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and IT, P.H. Kurian.
I would call you Professor Ashok Ravu, Professor of Entrepreneurship. I mean, the way you taught entrepreneurship now to the entrepreneurs and the aspiring entrepreneurs was great. AVG, Kumar, SR, and entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, friends. After Ashok Ravu's invigorating speech, I feel very odd to stand here. Probably I am the only bureaucrat. There is an ex-bureaucrat I am seeing out there. But the type of, maybe it's an insinuation that you have cast upon us. But at the end he said, these institutions are important. Probably you rate them as a necessary evil. It has to be there. So my tribe, according to him, have the joy of killing entrepreneurship. That's what he says. But I don't think, I mean, majority of us or majority of people in politicians or government are not getting the joy of killing entrepreneurs. That's what I believe. At least I had 28, 30 years of experience of working, and I never had an experience of killing an entrepreneur or entrepreneurship. There may be people, but I mean, that's different. The Kerala had, as a whole, for half a decade or maybe around 4.5 centuries, enjoyed killing entrepreneurship as a society. Because we were more socialistic, we put trouble into rise of entrepreneurship in many ways. And that we have suffered also on that. Based on that which we have sent all our youngsters out of the state, out of the country, and some of them are coming back, some of them who have come back are sitting around here, still they couldn't establish in Kerala. So these are all the complexities of Kerala's society's entrepreneurial journey. But I today believe that we are now on a different path. We are ourselves, all of us are creating that ecosystem for the entrepreneurship to rise in Kerala. That signals are for last 5-10 years is very clear. A good number of entrepreneurs who are sitting here are all people who have come up in the last 20 years. Post-91 guys are there, pre-91 there are a few. But I would say the 21st century people are going to be much more, and I'm very sure about that thing. Governments, I don't want to really explain all the government policies or what government is going to do, but one thing is sure, that government as a whole in Kerala don't want to create more hurdles in front of you. We'll remove one by one. India's ease of doing business index has fallen down from 136 to 142 last year. The government of India's, the new government's target is to bring it to 50 by the end of 5 years of their government. Bring down that to 50. Last 5 weeks I was on a training in US and in Missouri. This is our last phase of training. Most of the inputs were on policy making, and the objective was to bring down, I mean, all of us, we are around 104 of senior IAS officers of Joint Secretary going to become Additional Secretary in the Government of India. The idea of the training was to create ease of doing in the country. 10 days of policy on each subject were discussed by us. So I got a feeling from there that at the top echelons of the Government of India is now moving towards creating that ecosystem. The Prime Minister would like to have that 50 by the end of his 5-year rule. That's what we got from the central ministers who spoke to us, the central secretaries, our own cabinet who is spearheading this is Mr. Amitabh Kant. He also came and spent a day with us. So all the idea is like this. So I came back with the feeling that we are out to do this. A lot of steps have, simple steps have happened. But unfortunately in India, our society, this is a feeling that I had after this training. Every rule, every of these regulations that we have made, the lack of trust on the industry. And there are some evidences of that also. Tax evasion, a lot of doing this thing, this has been happening. That culture wasn't there probably a century before in the country, but possibly because of that highly regulated environment. It was the quest of each industry is how to break that regulation, how to make a little more money. It could be way of tax evasion, it could be doing some unwanted law, undesirable law you break. But breaking of law, whether it is desirable or undesirable law, is a breaking of law. So when that lack of trust or a mistrust from this side to the industry continued for a long time, and it takes a long time for it to remove also. All those regulations, all those unwanted rules, procedures and all that have come up a period of 50, 60 years. You can't do away with that in a single year or 5 year or something. In 91 we did away with a lot of them. But a lot of them remained because of that lack of trust. Now that is the one which we have to build over a long period of time. Which is lost over a long period of time, needs to be built over again a short period of time now. It should not take that much of time. Maybe what it took for 50 years, we should take at least around 10, 15, 20 years. So 20 years already passed after 91. The second set of reforms would come, and the new government reforms when it comes in another 5 years. Possibly we will be able to create that, that trust. That could be a turning point in the rise of entrepreneurship in this country. When it comes to the state, as I mentioned earlier, we have driven all our aspiring entrepreneurs out. They took job. A lot of them went and become entrepreneurs in the Gulf, in the US, in Europe. Even a lot of them have gone in Australia. I met a lot of people in Australia when I went there. There are people in Fiji. People from Kerala went and did business. Now they're all going to Africa, to Latin America. Yesterday night I got a call from a friend from US who is a citizen. He's from Kerala. He is going, he's a doctor. He is going to country called, which I didn't know, that a country called Belize. He and his friend, 2 doctors, are going to buy up around 3,000 acres of land there, and they want to go and turn as a big agricultural entrepreneur. Now look back at that opportunity. I was telling yesterday night at 12 o'clock to him, I also want to do some agriculture-based entrepreneurship in Kerala. I remember last TakeOn also I spoke about this. In the new agriculture policy of the state, I had to put this in. One way of creating more entrepreneurship in terms of number is actually creating companies, agriculture produce companies in Kerala. Shivadas and me has been talking about for this last 2 years. Unfortunately, a few companies, maybe around 4 or 5 have come in the NIDA sector now. You can create thousands of them. The youngsters now, there's a great thing that I'm seeing is the IT crowd is coming back to agriculture. We have seen a few examples. IT crowd after 40 years, many of them are coming back. I want to actually help them in creating agriculture produce companies. And this is a proposal, because I'm only a policy advisor. I'm not the actual policy maker or policy observer. I've been doing this for the last few years to create agriculture produce companies in Kerala and to allow them to own land beyond the usual ceiling. They should be able to lease out land 100 or 200, 300 acres. Now, Kumar was saying that somebody wants to start a dairy farm. A big dairy farm would require more than 15 acres of land. He need to grow his fodder. He need to have grazing place for this thing. And Kerala's, the eastern region, the hills are very good for that thing, to have this. So allow such people to have these companies. So one of the things which TIE should actually focus is agriculture entrepreneurship in Kerala. High-tech, of course, is happening, and there is another sector. So another sector that I suggest is you must move on creating that agriculture entrepreneurship. You should actually demand this change, this reform, this change in law. That's the only one which is going to redefine agriculture in Kerala. Yesterday I was in the APK, some of these APK members are here. APK also asked me, let us redefine what is the plantation sector, what we used to have, what the colonialists, the Britishers created. It was a different culture. And that thing cannot continue now. 21st century is different. Our entrepreneurship, the way of developing a product, marketing it, and all change. The way of producing a product, whether it is an agricultural product, whether it is a plantation product, whether it is tea, rubber, anything we need to change now. So that's the type of situation that we are facing. So Kerala also is seeing that fast changes. Now I've come up with startup policy which would go to the cabinet possibly in 2 weeks' time now, which is on the website now, which has actually gone into very detail how technology and innovation-based entrepreneurship actually needs to develop. And we have a lot of regulations are also being removed through that policy. A lot of changes would come from that thing. There was one tax issue which I fought for 2 years to remove that thing. The company registration stamp duty from 1,000 has gone to a 10,000, which has brought it down to, I believe it is, I think some young people who are there, it has gone to 2,000 or something for smaller companies now. This takes time. This takes time. A policy which is to be formed in government sometimes can be done in maybe a day if you want. It took only a few days for the cabinet to decide. It is only, I think it was only a week's time to decide, at least in principle, to set apart 1% of the budget for entrepreneurship development in Kerala, which does not happen in terms of numbers, but then that is a policy resolve slowly which is going to happen. Last year we got, Mr. Vijayavan, last year we got around 43 crores for the first time, 43 crores for me to develop the startup village and technology business incubators and to distribute Raspberry Pi to school students, which is going to happen next, I think next January 2nd Saturday. We are going to distribute Raspberry Pis to selected school students for the first time. Britain has distributed 10,000. We would do 10,000 in 2 years. This year we'll start with 3,000. Last year we announced it. Now we procured it. Raspberry Pi has come. We selected the school children who are having more interested into the computer. We have selected them, and January 2nd week or so we will distribute it, and our program is going to continue. Next June we will give 5,000, and next June we will give 5,000. So that so many such steps we have started. Rajesh is here. I have been trying to get an MIT Fab Lab that I hope will come in March 2015. We will put here. Another 2 Fab Labs we planned. Another one, I think, DIT, Department of IT, a project will come which for probably Trivandrum we'll put the first one we'll put in Startup Village here. And Startup Village announcements, I think the youngsters want to know about this. I'll speak about for 2 seconds, and we have announced it many times in the paper. But our building, we started in 5,000 in the biotechnology TBIC. Now, biotechnology TBIC has started around 5 years back, didn't work. Now we have handed over to Rajiv Gandhi Institute, who is trying to really bring in more biotech entrepreneurs there. 12 crores worth of equipment are lying there which is not being used, which will now be invigorated. 5,000 square feet of that incubator is the place where Startup Village has started. We created 10,000 for them. Another 10,000 has been furnished and inaugurated by CM in a building which is under construction. That building is going to be 1.25 lakhs. Another 2 buildings and the architecture plan of the whole Startup Village is ready now. Maybe in 3 to 4 years' time, we will have around 6 lakh square feet of startup space with a lot of open spaces with 1 GB Wi-Fi free connectivity out there for at a time of around 3,000 youngsters to sit and work. That is one single place part we are going to plan. The other plan in the startup policy is to have many TBICs in different subjects. KSIDC has already started a business incubator in Cochin. They will have one in Calicut, they will have one in Trivandrum in the biotech park which is coming there. And also in a meeting of Vice Chancellors, CM has decided to create TBICs in every university in Kerala with an initial funding of 1 crore each. Sri Chitra is going to have an incubator, a TBIC for medical electronic equipments. That's going to come, and they have planned it, their space is ready. Government is going to help them and facilitate. So creation of the technology-based entrepreneurship is one part, creation of agriculture, SME related thing is another part. SME had a big problem the other day. The Panchayat Raj Act was to be amended, taking away the exemption the SMEs were having in the industrial estate. That also through an ingenious way of last minute by an official announcement, we passed the law by protecting the industries in the industrial estate from the regulatory clutches, I would say, of the Panchayat. We have, I really want to remove a lot. I don't know, many of you have not read the law. What type of thing has been written in the law to excuse? There is a central act called Air Act and Water Act, which has created the Pollution Control Board and a big technical institutions, Green Tribunal and all that. But on the other side, in our Panchayat Raj Act, I mean, again, it's the same constitution. He has given power by 73rd, 74th to Panchayat to regulate this. There is a section 233B in the Kerala Panchayat Raj Act, which reads like this. If the village Panchayat is of the opinion that any industry which is running in its jurisdiction is using a fuel which creates smoke, or a different fuel which was not licensed to them, or any noise, or any nuisance, without very loose definitions, the secretary of the Panchayat can issue a notice to him to stop that activity. Giving a reasonable time, that is the word used there, but our village Panchayat, if a member feels that this is to be stopped, he will go and use a stop memo. Stop memo in the law is to be given after a technical opinion, and after the initial direction is not met with, then they can give a stop memo. That's what the law says. But on a drop of a hat, such a thing is given. If there is a noise, if he uses a different fuel, look at that type of a monster that we have created. So if a Panchayat member or his party went and demanded a little money from a small businessman or an industry, you can stop it and nowadays saying that there is a noise coming from your place. What is that noise? Is an acceptable level. There is a Air Act, there is a Water Act which prescribes technically all the things. They don't have to do. So some sort of a drastic changes are required. These are all the question of ease of doing business. With all difficulty, you created a thing and somebody with a drop of a hat can stop it. Where is the demand coming from the public of Kerala? Where is the demand coming from the entrepreneurship? Where is coming from TIE? That for creating ease of doing business is to create these hurdles. Lawmaking is not a permanent thing. Law is to be changed with the environment, with the demand by the people. Law is made by the people, and people can change the law. It's not an unchangeable thing. It's not a permanent written on your forehead that you are to live with this thing. That's not the one. You can change. There are a lot of such things. Now we are going into self-certification. A big work is now going on to remove some of these hurdles. So government as a whole is interested, but there are still a lot of hurdles. My own brethren, there are people I know, my own brethren means my own service people, who would love to have more of regulations. Yesterday I was speaking in yesterday's dinner. Even the APK was demanding, we want a single window clearance system. For what? For using 5% of land owned by them for non-plantation purpose, for agriculture. So their thinking is also saying that give me a single window clearance system. What do you mean a single window clearance system? Last year also at the same podium I spoke on the same thing. This has not happened so far. I hope now we are working on that. It will happen. It will take time. Now if 5% of the land from a plantation can be used for agriculture or for tourism or for floriculture, whatever it is, I feel that, a regulatory requirement of that is that the owner of the plantation just inform the district collector, who is the owner of all the land, in the sense that keeper of the land records, that this is the 5% that I use. He gives a report to him. Probably the collector or his officer can go and see whether he is surpassing that thing. Why all the other regulations are coming? Because the belief a priori is that this plantation owner, instead of that 5%, is going to use 25%. This is the belief that we have. Just the law doesn't trust when I was a patent controller, I have gone through the patent laws of US. That's a very long law. Their rules are also much bigger than what Indian rules are. The European rules are much bigger, but it's very clear. Everything is based on a trust on the other side. Most of our Anglo-Saxon law, this is a very Anglo-Saxon law, I would say. The Indian lawmaking is based on actually trusting none, doubting 101% people. This is what we have to say. That is the societal value system that we need to change. So good behavior by the industry that you can trust, the society can trust us is very important, Rao. You have not lived in India. You have lived in US, where the trust is very important. They speak, in US, you guys talk to each other, and most of it is what you are actually giving a word is a word. Here it is not. I am trying to give a word which is coming from my mind, but still I don't know whether I can keep that word. I go and invite an entrepreneur to come and start, or an industrialist to come and start something Kerala. I give him some word, I'm not very sure whether I can give. That's the type of scenario of the Indian society. We are changing, but we need to change further. We need to change faster. And who will catalyze that? I mean, apart from the other players, the actual beneficiaries have to come to the front and do it. The next suggestion that I have is, TAI has been working here, and I am fortunate or privileged because of the jobs that I held is always something relating to TAI entrepreneurship, and I've written 2 books on entrepreneurship, always together with this thing. I have also grown or got promoted along with TAICON. I've been telling that something concrete you have to do. Conference is good, you can celebrate the entrepreneurship, you can share the joy of entrepreneurship, all that is good. But you also need to something do on the ground. I know some of you are actually helping angel funding a lot of new entrepreneurs. That's all very good on an individual level. Collectively, one of the suggestions that I make, which we would support, is that TAI Kerala should start a business accelerator. And we would support that. You should start a business before the next TAICON. You should have a business accelerator. You know that there are thousands of people who have come, youngsters have come. They have to go to the next stage. They need business advice. You have to come to that level. Something which we are to tangible. Intangible, tangible, personal level, many things are happening, but we need to really do something more, and government would support that to the core. So that's the suggestion that I have to make. Anyway, I don't want to take much of your time. A lot of ideas are there which we will talk, in the coming, I'll spend half a day or a little more here. You can interact. I will also join the session, maybe asking questions, hearing your suggestions. We'll consider all that thing. You enjoy your spirit of entrepreneurship. Let's celebrate it together. I am probably one person who is not an entrepreneur, is not aspiring to an entrepreneur either. But I actually enjoy the spirit of facilitating you. I am an individual in such a big network or a clogged system. But I enjoy the spirit of doing each one of that facilitation. This Monday I have done that. Last Monday, I came only on Sunday, but Monday I could actually be a facilitator on that panchayat thing, doing some ease of business. So each of those moments I also enjoy as a person. So with that part, let me also join you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now for the vote of thanks, I'd request S.R. Nair, Mentor and Director of Mentor Guru and past President of TAI Kerala, to come forward.
Thank you. That was a nice introduction. Before dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, before I go into my duty of proposing the vote of thanks, based on a request that has come from one of our charter member, Mr. Kurian Abraham, who runs this business magazine called Dhanam, who has published a book called 25 Atulya Malayali Business Pratibhagal, about 25 inspiring success stories, 25 extraordinary lives. Dhanam, the Kerala's first and foremost business magazine, has brought out a comprehensive book on these 25 individuals, something like a collector's item. So I would request Mr. P.H. Kurian, who also have written the foreword to this book, to hand over a copy of this book to our Professor Ashok Rao. Okay, and our Thai Global Chairman will release it. And I'm now requesting Mr. Kurian to do so. Sir.
And congratulations on this.
Thank you, Mr. P.H. Kurian. Thank you, our beloved Ashok Rao sir. My job is to propose the vote of thanks. This is the hat-trick performance of Thai Global Chairman, who had last time also said that he uses 2 radars in his vehicle to escape the law of speeding in the US. For 4 years, he has driven Thai. How many radars have you used for driving Thai Global, sir? 61. Okay. It was very interesting. And he asked us, who sent that message? Very interesting, sir. And joys of entrepreneurship. Innovation, he had actually really touched upon innovation. And he says, there is no entrepreneurship without innovation. And he has also said this, instead of sleeping less, sleep faster. So we have to sleep faster now. And sir, hat-trick performance. And so thank you for being with us. And thank you for your professorial wisdom. Thank you, sir. Yeah, he is around. If there are questions, not on this session, but he can actually take the questions. We have Mr. P.H. Kurian. Yeah, he started by saying that there is definitely the role for institutions in entrepreneurship. Individually as a bureaucrat, as well as an individual, he had been helping industry a lot. He said about Government of India now wanting to bring down the index of doing business, ease of doing business in India from somewhere from 140 to 50. I think we need more P.H. Kurians in the bureaucracy for that. Then only we can come to that index of 50, sir. We would definitely need more of you there. You have talked about the trust deficit on the industry, something which we have to take note of. And he also mentioned about agriculture entrepreneurship. Sir, if you remember, among the Thai world, we are the first Thai chapter which has started agriculture as a focus thing from the very beginning, 2003. And thank you for bringing the subject again, and we'll continue on that. He also had said about the government's initiative across the state of Kerala, including universities, in starting incubation centers. Excellent move. And also, before winding up his speech, he said, Thai Kerala must start a business accelerator. President, that is something that we have to really, really seriously consider. He also mentioned about the law. I remember A.G. Gardner, who had said, rules and laws are made for the betterment for the people, but it is the same rules and laws that makes life miserable for people. That is something that we really, really need to do. I also thank our welcome addressee, Mr. M.S.A. Kumar, who almost converted his welcome address into a keynote address. Thank you, sir. And our president, Mr. A.V. George, who very calmly and politely delivered his presidential address. I want to thank all our past presidents who are here, all our charter members who have graced the occasion, and also the media who had come in good numbers to cover this event. Before I hand over to Rajesh, who would explain to you about the two-day session that is going to be unveiled before you, I thank you all. I also thank the institutions who's behind you who had come in here. Thanks in advance to all the speakers who would be deliberating things upon here. Thank you very much. Have enriching 2 days of ThaiCon 2014. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And now it's time to present the memento. And this was done voluntarily by the lead college students who have taken the photograph right at the moment when you were speaking, sir. And to give away the memento, I'd welcome A.V. George. Sir, I request you to give away the memento to Ashok Rao, sir. right when you were speaking. From Palakkad, right? Lead College from Palakkad. A big applause to you for clicking it on the moment. And I'd request MSA Kumar to hand over the memento to PH Kurian. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Rajesh Nair, the Associate Director Markets of Ernst & Young, to do the presentation of program highlights.
So what I feel right now is the pangs of a director who's been part of the direction of a great movie and who's wondering whether that Friday will be successful. So when I look around myself, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm happy to see all of you who've spared time to come and listen to us. What I have in the next 5 odd minutes is to tell you what to do and what to expect during this particular TICON. I've been very closely attached to the last 3 TICONs, and the idea has been to progressively give you something better each time. And that's what we've been trying this time as well. We have changed the formats a little, but it still remains a multi-track event. We have modulated in such a way that the entire first half of the first day, you will be in this hall. The entire second half of the second day, you will be in this hall. We have more keynotes. So like Mr. Ashok Rao, we will have several impressive speakers across sectors talking to you face-to-face on areas of entrepreneurship, sectors, etc. And I'm sure you will like that as well. After we break for tea right now, we come back, all of us come back to this hall. We have the Young Entrepreneurs session, where we have some fascinating stories of fairly young entrepreneurs, and we have Rajesh Nair from MIT Labs, whom a lot of you confuse with me, and he gets confused as well. Again, you know, we'll end up being called for seminars where the other was supposed to be called, and then we get emails of each other also these days. So Rajesh is there. There is Faisal, who has a phenomenal entrepreneurial story to tell you. There is Ashok Mani, who's amongst the youngest speakers that we have in this TICON. And then there is James Joseph, who runs Jackfruit 365 and who was awarded the Startup Entrepreneur last year. After that, we have Dr. Ram Nene and we have Vani Kola. Both of them will be speaking on keynotes and have a particular topic to tell you about. Post-lunch, we will break and the sector session starts. And for those of you who are attending your first TICON, there are multiple venues and multiple things happening. Along with the sector tracks, we have a mentoring track. We have a pitch festival come idea exchange track. And what happens in those tracks are very interesting. If you have a business problem, if you have a business question, please go to these tracks and get benefited by professional mentors. So last time we were asking speakers to volunteer time, but this time we have 5 professional mentors who do mentoring and advising organizations for a living, sitting out there and getting advice. In the pitch festival track, what we expect is if you have a business plan with you, or if you have an idea of a business plan, you should go and speak to the people who are there. We typically have consultants there. We have some VCs. We don't have too many private equity guys because I thought Kerala, as of now, is not mature enough to have those kind of discussions in a large conference of this sort. But we have the other categories of angels and investors. Very interestingly, what we also have this time is Federal Bank, who are the presenting sponsor as well. There will be 3 senior officials of Federal Bank who will sit out there, who will look at some of the proposals and some of the plans that you have and give you an idea of what is a bank looking for. Because unlike what we feel, there is a lot of SME funding opportunities and schemes available in banks of Kerala today. So any good idea will not lack a fund in Kerala today, and that's the overall spirit of what we intend to accomplish in the pitch festival. Tomorrow, again, we continue in the morning with one keynote of Dr. Murad Lala, and then we split into multiple tracks. We have the IT track, which traditionally has been the most impressive track with the, with a pageant of extremely popular and important speakers in that area in India. And do attend that. That will happen in this particular venue. And likewise, like IT, one area which I guess all the initial speakers also talked about is agriculture. We feel that agriculture has reached a sort of inflection point in Kerala, especially thanks to people like Shivdas sir. Agriculture is becoming cool. As P.H. Kurian sir said, we are seeing progressively some examples of technology-educated youth getting into agriculture, and that itself is creating a lot of impact into agriculture and the way we are looking at agri-entrepreneurship. So like IT, agri-entrepreneurship will also be an extended session, and it will be in one of these halls, and do attend them. And then post that we have the keynotes in the second half. A couple of announcements I want to make. During the next 2 days, you will also hear announcements of some of the tie-ups that TIE has done. So besides the MOU that we have with KFC and KSIDC, we are also tying up for some of these funding competitions across the world. One of these competitions is D-Prize, where they are looking for social entrepreneurship ideas, and the prize-winning ideas will get up to $25,000 of funding as well. So some of those details we will give you during the course of the day. We also have another tie-up coming up with Content. Content is another organization which wants to tie up with TIE Kerala for mentoring and business plans, etc. What is interesting in this TIECon is, in case some of you, in fact, one probable omission that you may notice is the number of students. Gandhi University has exams during this time, and even the school students are unfortunately tied up with exams. So we don't have too many of the student crowd. But what we have is, and what we have planned and we have executed this time is, if you log on to the TIE Kerala website, www.tieconkerala.org, you can see a live streaming of this conference sitting at home. So those of you who have your kids probably at home, or some of your spouses want to watch what's happening here, please encourage them to log in onto the site. We are doing it for the first time, so I'm sure there will be a few glitches here and there, but we are there, and that's the way we will take it forward also, where some of you can watch the conference sitting here, and some of you can watch the conference sitting at home. It's been a pleasure bringing this entire pageant, and as I said, you're all here, and we expect that you will have a wonderful time. Please plan what you want to do, because there are multiple things happening. There are close to 102 speakers this time, and you'll be lucky if you get to meet all of them, but it'll be slightly ambitious if you think you'll meet all of them. So please plan who to meet, which track to attend, and who to share, and who to contact and network with. Thanks a lot. All the best for the next 2 days. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. And now it's time for us to take a small 10-minute break, and all of you all please be back on time. And for the speakers who haven't delivered their presentation, I request you all to hand it over at the console. So I'll see you all in 10 minutes from now. Thank you.